I have to admit something, and I confess something that happened to me 8 years ago. Actually, today is 8 years ago, was the first homily I did in the Philippines, as it was the time when I came. And they told me, next Sunday, we will be celebrating Santo Niño. And I thought, San Antonio. And I prepared a homily on San Antonio, Saint Anthony. Thank God, we were eating in the evening, Saturday evening, and one of my priests told me, what are you going to say about Santo Niño tomorrow? Yes, San Antonio, Saint Anthony, yes. I prepared. Saint Anthony told me, no, San Antonio is the child Jesus. It's only here in the Philippines. OMG. The first experience of being here in the Philippines. Anyway, but can you ever realize how God is so loving and in a way so mysterious that He calls a great nation of the Philippines to Christianity by a simple, small statue of the little child Jesus. Unbelievable. How can God think about such things? But yes, that's the baptism of this beautiful country. And up to today, 500 years and counting, we thank God that the faith is still part of our lives. And this is the joy of the feast of today. And I am so blessed that I am sharing this with you. Now, obviously, we know that the faith is not the same. Like many other countries, it's falling slowly back. We have a great mission. We are called to be the new missionaries and the new Santo Niño, can you see again, I made the same mistake. Santo Niño to so many our fellow brothers and sisters. Let's bring them back. Do you know, guys, that sadly enough, in the last practically 19, 20 years, the attendance went down from 6 out of 10 to 3 out of 10. We have a mission. However, I don't want to talk about this sad thing, but I wish to share with you some beautiful thoughts that makes us happy to realize from the readings of today why we celebrate the image and the childhood of Jesus, the infancy of Jesus. First of all, in the second reading, Paul confirms to us something which is important that we understand it many times. He tells us we are the adopted children of God. We are God's children. And that's because Christ, in His omnipotence, He becomes a little child in the midst of us, and He redeemed us. He, as Paul says, did not despise us, but He came in the midst of us like a little child, so nobody could be afraid of God. And that's the first important reason why today is a special day. Paul is confirming to us, you are the family of God. We are God's children. And I ask you, turn to the person next to you and tell him, you are the child of God. We are all the child of God. Yes. And that's very special for us. Now, this was made possible because God became man and became a child. You know what Saint Teresa of Lisieux said? A few months ago we had the opportunity to, in the Marian pilgrimage, to visit the place of Saint Teresa. It's a beautiful place. And Saint Teresa says, we are called to spiritual childhood. We, adults, are called to spiritual childhood. And how are we going to do this? She said, like children, like toddlers, we are called to possess, or more, we must reacquire the traits and practices of a child in us. If we really want to enter the kingdom of God, Christ told us, and Saint Teresa is telling to us, the spiritual childhood, we will never enter the kingdom. I wish to speak about 3 of them. There's so many beautiful things to say about the child. First, the one that Jesus himself told us, you do not be humble, you will never enter into the kingdom. What is humbleness? It's not humiliation, guys, be careful. Humble of heart means that you realize that you depend on God. That you cannot do it on your own. Look at the child. If he has to do something, what does he go? He go to his parent, Mom, Pop, can you help me? That's humbleness. Accepting myself, my weakness, my restrictions I've got as a person, and I turn to God and ask him, Lord, my God, my Father, help me. That is humbleness of heart. We do not try to do it on our own. Let's not be so unfortunately proud. But be aware that slowly, the more you become humble, depending on God, the more God is going to help us. Second, there is something what we call simplicity. Now, again, simplicity is not to be simple Simon, or whatever. Simplicity means that in a complicated life that we are living around us, we are getting complex in our lifestyle. We are forgetting to look at the flowers and smell the flowers. Look at the sky and thank God for all that the Lord is doing to us. Look at the child in his simple way. Sometimes you give him something and the whole day he will be so happy playing with it and knowing almost all parts and corners of that thing because he's that way, a simple person, not complex. So second important trait is simplicity in my life. To be aware what God is doing to me. Like the child, the mama gives him a plate of food, and simply he will eat slowly, slowly. Or the mother will help him to taste the good food. So that is the second trade. The third trade, I'm going to talk, it's a bit more complex, but bear with me. A child is daring. Daring means that sometimes he doesn't think it twice. If you tell him, jump from here to the other, and somebody will be there to catch him, he won't think it twice, he will jump. I remember myself being a child, I was in Malta, and my father told me, we went to the sea, jump. I didn't know how to swim, and I just jumped, knowing that my father was there. I was daring, and because of that, I learned how to swim. So daring means that sometimes God asks us something, and because we know that God is there, and God will be the one to catch me, to help me, to teach me, to guide me, I will be able to do it. And you know what is daring for us at the moment? What I told you in the beginning. I dare you. Next Sunday, bring someone else here with you to the IU Theater. Don't be afraid to speak about Jesus. Don't be afraid to make the sign of the cross in front of others. I am challenging you in front of everyone. God is with you, but I need to give witness to that. And Santo Niño, a small statue, is helping us to be God's witnesses. And God wants that this great nation of the Philippines will never disappear or will never fade from its fate. So that's our mission. And that's what we need to do. We, as God's children, are called to help others return back to the child. Because the child is waiting for all of us. Amen.